Good morning. It's Tuesday, May 5th, 2015, and this is your morning edition on I-24 News. Coming up later today, just one day before the coalition deadline, Israel's foreign minister quits his post, leaving the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, with a very narrow government. Amnesty International releases The Circle of Hell, a horrific glimpse into Assad's barrel bombing campaign of Aleppo. And later on the show, David Letterman and Barack Obama plan their retirement together on The Late Show. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yael Wisner-Levy, filling in for Yael Avi, and we begin with the latest developments in Jerusalem. The Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman struck a political blow to his longtime comrade, Benjamin Netanyahu, announcing yesterday that he would stay out of the government just one day before the coalition formation deadline. Lieberman said he was choosing values over parliament seats and quit the current government as well. Netanyahu did, however, manage to secure a coalition agreement with the religious party Shas, leaving him a final day to negotiate a deal with the Jewish Home Party in order to secure a very narrow 61-seat majority in the Knesset. The announcement came as Netanyahu, of course, is struggling both internally with major protests by the Ethiopian Israeli community and externally with pressure from Europe and the United States. And with only one day to go and his coalition looking extremely shaky, the coming days will test his political survival skills to the fullest. We're joined now in studio by I-24 News diplomatic correspondent Tal Shalev. Thank you, Tal, for joining us.
Yeah.
And by Elias Inbram, one of the recent leaders of the recent protests of the Ethiopian community. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Let's first take a quick listen to what Lieberman said yesterday, and we'll break down the political map from there.
This is certainly a coalition that, to my regret, does not reflect the positions of the nationalist camp and is not to our liking, to put it mildly. Therefore, my decision is first of all to resign my position as foreign minister. At the end of this meeting, I will submit my resignation to the Prime Minister, to the government secretariat, and of course, a clear announcement that I won't join the coalition.
So, Tal, was it a big surprise for Netanyahu? Just one day to go, of course, until he was supposed to finalize his coalition.
Well, Netanyahu, I think, had a feeling what Lieberman is planning for him, but definitely, once again, the Israeli political system proves to be one of the best shows around, because basically what Lieberman did here is ruin Netanyahu's big victory of the March 17 elections, because Lieberman's announcement has implications both on the long term and the short term. We'll start with the short term. Leaving Netanyahu with a coalition of 61 members means every member of this every party that's a member of this coalition, its bargaining status is raised immediately. So that is why Netanyahu was very quick to close an agreement last night with Shas, which did get a lot of achievements, what is considered to be a very good deal. But now he's also left with Naftali Bennett from the Jewish Home, who is also raising their demands. Right. They're also raising their demands. So basically, at the last stretch of negotiations, he did hurt him, and he didn't leave him enough time to even maneuver with the idea of a national unity government.
I mean, it was all very much pre-planned and leaving a very hot ministry up for grabs, the foreign ministry.
Yeah, but we'll just finish with the long-term implications of this. The 61, Netanyahu was dreaming of a 67-member coalition. Now he will have to set for a 61 coalition, meaning, A, it'll be almost impossible for him to reign or to implement any reform. A majority of 61 means that every minor vote, you need to make sure that there are enough coalition members there, and every minor vote basically becomes a whole big battle. And basically, the assumption in the political system is that Netanyahu will not be able to survive very long with the 61 coalition, and that eventually, in the upcoming weeks or months, this opens the option for a national unity government. As we heard the leader of Shas yesterday, Aryeh Deri, he outspokenly called for a national unity government now.
And this, of course, has been denied by Herzog and the Zionist Union camp. Also, within the Zionist Union camp, there's a bit of a I would say, a battle over who is going to lead the opposition. Shelley Yachimowicz, number 2 on the Zionist Union, won't have Tzipi Livni, who, of course, ran with Herzog.
Well, this is the aftermath of this mysterious creature called the Joint Leadership of the Zionist Union. And this whole alliance, to begin with, doesn't seem at this moment to be very strong. Shelley Yachimowicz, one of the most brilliant politicians around, actually identifies that this looks weird, that this joint leadership is not actually deprives her of the number two. It's not about the number 1. It's about the number 2. The number 1 is Herzog. It's about the number 2. Shelley Yachimowicz does not want Tzipi Livni to be perceived as number 2. She said she wants herself to be perceived as number 2. And one of the explanations that was given to that actually was that because the Zionist Union understands that eventually they will be joining a national unity government, Yachimowicz wants to position herself as number 2 in order to get the 2nd senior portfolio and not the 3rd senior portfolio after Tzipi Livni. But in any case, the Zionist Union have been denying again and again that they want to join a national unity government. There is no question that the Zionist Union do want to join a national unity government. The only question is, will it be, when will it be? And the other question is, will it be as an alliance, or will it be, or will this creature of the Zionist Union be departed again, depart into back to labor and back to the Tnu'ah party, and in that way maybe only the labor will join the government, because Tzipi Livni seems to be a persona non grata for Benjamin Netanyahu.
And of course, last but not least, we did speak about external pressure on Netanyahu in general from the United States and Europe. Now with the foreign ministry being open for now, what is the U.S. saying, if anything? And are they looking for a different foreign minister, obviously someone maybe that they could have worked better with than Lieberman?
Well, I just want to correct. Lieberman worked very well with the U.S. in his aftermath, and Lieberman, at the end of his term in the past 2 years, it's true he had a very rocky start, but he did succeed to function as a reasonable foreign minister, at least regarding his relationship with the U.S. I wouldn't say that Netanyahu has a very good relationship with the U.S. to begin with. The question of the foreign ministry is more about politics, because and that means there are a lot of jumpers for the job. Naftali Bennett said he wants it, and bitter members of the Likud also are competing for it. But it seems at the moment that Netanyahu will keep the portfolio to himself and leave it open in order to leave the option of a national unity government open, and that means that eventually, if all of this happens, Yitzhak Herzog might be foreign minister. But just to note, we still have a bit more than almost 36 hours, a bit more than 36 hours to go till the deadline expires, and Netanyahu is going to have a very difficult job. Last night there was a faction meeting of the Jewish Home. They are furious with Netanyahu for succumbing to religious affairs and giving up the religious affairs to Shas, to the ultra-Orthodox parties, and they have invented more demands now. And on the other hand, the Likud are saying, well, Naftali Bennett will never lead to new elections instead of joining a Yamin government. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll probably be dramatic till the final moment.
Right. It's 61 seats until it's not over till it's over. Tal Shalev, thank you. Stay with us because, of course, amid this coalition crisis, Netanyahu did meet yesterday with leaders of the Ethiopian community following 2 major protests that turned violent in recent days. Netanyahu did pledge to find solutions to the community's claims of discrimination, and to that end established a ministerial committee. Let's first watch a report on the recent unrest, and we'll discuss it from there.
Tel Aviv's Rabin Square was quiet this morning. There seems to be no evidence of Monday night, one of the most violent and intense protests the city has known in the last few years. Hundreds of people came out to support the Ethiopian community and protest racism and police brutality. At least 68 people were wounded. President Reuven Rivlin condemned the violence.
Protest is an essential tool in democracy, but violence is not the way and not the solution. The demonstrators and police acted with restraint, and that is worth noting. We must not let a small, violent, rioting group silence the legitimate cry.
A day after the mayhem, some members of the Ethiopian-Israeli community feel satisfied.
Yesterday's demonstration was inspiring. I'm so proud of the youth who arrived and spoke their mind. There was also violence by a few, fueled by anarchist elements, and I'm sorry about that. Most of the demonstrators arrived here to express their feelings and did not want this violence.
This is not the first time the Ethiopian-Israeli community has called for equal rights, but it definitely was the most significant attempt to shout out loud against racism and discrimination. Some of the Jewish Ethiopians who came to Israel were located here in Givat HaMatos neighborhood in the outskirts of Jerusalem. This may shed a little light on the roots of the conflict between the State of Israel and the community. 30 years have passed since Israel brought the members of the community to the country, but it seems little has changed. Last week, a video showing an Ethiopian Jewish soldier brutally beaten by police without apparent provocation sparked outrage in the community. On Monday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met the young soldier and told him of his shock when he saw the video.
We spoke about everything that has happened. He knew about the issues, knew what he was talking about. First of all, it's a boost, and it's encouraging that it's the Prime Minister's personal initiative to talk to me and to meet with me. It was a good meeting. I left with a good feeling.
It's been a long road for the Ethiopian Jews who left the war-torn country and immigrate to Israel. Nowadays, it seems that the journey to be accepted and recognized may be long and tough as well.
So, Elias, I want to start from the end. It was obvious, of course, that the minute the protests turned violent, that the leaders of the country would come out and start talking. We saw Netanyahu meeting with the soldier. We saw Ruby Rivlin, the president. What is the statement that, if at all, impact the community, impact you?
Well, it's first of all, it was very late to meet the representative of the Ethiopian community. But let's make it clear, okay? People are trying to compare between this rally with the case of Baltimore. First of all, we are not under slave. We are not illegal immigration. We came to Israel under the law of return. Okay, this is number one. Number two, the state of Israel is not legally is not a racist country. Okay, we are struggling for our rights. We are struggling to break the block and to be part of the society so we can lead like any other Israeli. Okay, after I make it clear, now we can talk about domestic issues, okay? Benjamin Netanyahu met the soldier and other people. This meeting is just hugging. It's not the job. And Benjamin Netanyahu, he know for many years what to do with the Ethiopian immigrants. He has to create the opportunity for jobs. He has to create the opportunities for career. He has to deal with the prejudice among the Israeli society. He has to open the schools for various of immigrants in Israel. He knows what to do. This meeting is nice. It's cute. But Benjamin Netanyahu, we are smart people in Israel. We are educated. Okay, let's talk to us.
And words, of course, are not enough in what you're
Absolutely.
saying. I want to ask Professor Guy Ben-Polat, the professor for public policy at the Ben-Gurion University of the Negev, to join us. Good morning, Professor Ben-Polat. So you've heard here from Elias, words are not enough. Is there something that the Israeli establishment can start doing now? Because this is prejudice and discrimination that the Ethiopian community has experienced for decades. And the trigger, of course, and the catalyst was this video, but this is something that's been going on for decades.
Well, my expertise on policing and not on the other issues, I could say that there is a structural problem here within the police that needs to be addressed. And I think that the comparison to Baltimore is actually valid. I think in both cases we see profiling, we see police violence, and we see a community that is suffering from that. So I think the comparison is valid, and the problem is similar to what we see in Baltimore.
But still, as we heard from Elias, he would reject that, and I want you to
well, there is nothing to compare. The background is really different. We are struggling for different issues. We are struggling for leadership. Okay, in Baltimore they are dealing for basic rights. We want to be part of this society and to be the leader of the society in terms of jobs and in all area. That's what we are dealing.
But still, many of the protesters in the Rabin Square were protesting.
The case of the Ethiopian,
profiling and so
the case of the Israeli soldiers is just the beginning of the story. Okay, we are for 30 years in Israel. We are educated, and we feel there is some block, and we want to break it down and to go forward. Okay, we are not struggling because we are under poverty. this is a different story.
Right. Professor Ben Polat, what can the Israeli police do, first in the short term, of course, but also it's not only, as we heard, it's a leadership problem. It's a problem that comes from the top. It's not something that it's only the police problem and so forth. What needs to be done in the long term as well?
Well, in the long term, I think police has to establish relations with all communities. If you look at police violence in Israel, it's not just against Ethiopians. Also, Arab citizens suffer from police violence. And I think these things should
There's
not...
a saying in our family, you can do anything if you keep
And
a
these
good
things
head on your
cannot be
shoulders.
delayed.
That's why we use head and shoulder shampoo and conditioners.
Well,
Something
yeah, sure.
I think that police violence needs to be thought of as a structural problem that relates not just to Ethiopians, also to Arab citizens. And I think there's an issue here that needs to be addressed from top down. And in the way that police relates to citizens, especially minority citizens, is extremely important. And it's about police training. It's about monitoring of police work. It's about allowing citizens a right way to complain, and these complaints must be addressed. I think it's about accountability and transparency, which is lacking. And again, I think the comparison is valid to the U.S. and also valid to other communities in Israel.
And also other communities around the world. We've seen police brutality as a category, if you will, throughout the world. And can it be seen as also something that, because we see what's happening in Baltimore, it's something that we're seeing more of? Meaning there is something that is almost catchy about, you know, going out and saying this is police brutality in Baltimore, but it's happening right here under our own eyes.
I think that the comparison is valid in the sense that you see these issues where you have communities that are profiled because of their skin color, ethnicity, and they're also weak. So on the one hand, it allows them to be stopped more by police. But when they're stopped by police, there's more chance that brutality will be involved. So it doesn't happen any time. It's not all police officers, of course, but it is a structural problem that must be addressed.
Professor Ben-Ari, with the respect of your analysis, how many Ethiopians, Israelis are professors in your university?
No, I totally agree with what you're saying. It's not just a police problem. It's a problem of overall discrimination. This is not even questionable. The answer is none, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm asking something practical because I have agenda. I want to push my community forward, and I'm asking, is there Ethiopian professors in your university?
And he says absolutely none, and he does agree with you that there is widespread discrimination. It's not only a police discrimination.
Yeah.
Elias, what is next in terms of
well,
the
first of all, our coalition is the Jewish communities in the world, especially in the United States, who are supporting us financially and spiritually, and the Israeli public for now. We have moral support from them. We hope we are not going to lose it soon. But we want an action right now. There is nothing to meet, you know, people that they are not related to the Ethiopian community. The Prime Minister can meet the Ethiopian young leadership, talk to them, and go to do the job. He knows the job.
Right.
You know, there is nothing to teach him.
And in terms
we're
of
here for 30 years in Israel. Just open the gate for opportunities.
And in terms of your next steps and the community's next steps,
well, we will wait a few days, and we will see if he's serious or not. We will see if he's just hugging and saying, we love the Ethiopian Jews. I was in Ethiopia. We know this rhetoric. We will wait a few days, and then probably we will do some action again. Because today is going to be totally different.
Action meaning you're going to take to the streets?
We will think about it. We are a huge group of people in WhatsApp, Facebook. We don't know, most of the time we don't know each other, but we agree that this is the time to make an action.
And you see a lot of other parts of Israeli society joining you?
Well, more and more are supporting us. We have to be smart when we are doing it, not to get them crazy. But now they are supporting us and understanding. And actually, this rally is also to educate the Israeli society a little bit and to understand that we are Israeli. We are not African American.
Of course.
No slavery. We are not for 200 years. We don't have a Dr. Martin Luther King. We are Israeli. We raised up here. We educated here. We are fighting to be part of the society and to go forward.
Elias Inbram, I wish you all the best luck in your plight, and we're, of course, with you and holding your hands. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Moving on now, a new report published this morning by Amnesty International focuses on the barrel bomb campaign by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The report details the abuses being committed in Aleppo by government forces and armed opposition groups on a daily basis, and concludes that some of the government's actions in the Syrian city against civilians amount to crimes against humanity. The report paints a particularly grim picture of the devastation caused by barrel bombs. Barrel bombs are packed with explosives and metal fragments, and they've been dropped on schools, hospitals, mosques, and crowded markets, forcing residents to seek safety by moving into our basement and bunkers. We're going to discuss this in just a moment, but first let's take a look at the latest in Syria, and then we'll discuss the Amnesty report in detail.
In another escalation of the crisis in Syria, mortar bombs launched from Syria wounded 2 United Nations peacekeepers in the Golan Heights on Monday, in what appeared to be stray fire from the Syrian civil war. A military spokesperson said the peacekeepers were taken for treatment at an Israeli hospital. Meanwhile, the Ahrar al-Sham group in Syria seized a crossing in the southwest frontier area near Israel. The capture by the Idlib-based group would represent a major setback for Bashar al-Assad's regime. In another blow to Assad, a major general who heads the munitions and supply division of the Syrian army was wounded in a bombing attack in a central Damascus district on Monday. The suicide bomber reportedly detonated the bomb in Rukn ad-Din, a neighborhood of several security compounds. Meanwhile, United Nations consultations on Syria are expected to take place in Geneva on Tuesday, but expectations are admittedly low.
These are low-key, low-profile consultations, and they're not being held at presidential level. They're being held at the working level.
Earlier this year, tensions flared along Israel's northern border for the second time this year, following a suspected Israeli Air Force attack on weapon deliveries to Hezbollah, making the possibility of a future conflict between Hezbollah and Israel a potential development in the regional scenario.
We're joined now in studio by I-24 News senior Middle East analyst Ali Waked. Good morning, Ali. Thank you for joining. And by Amnesty International Israel communication manager Roni Margalit. Good morning, Roni. Thank you for joining us. This report calls Aleppo a circle of hell. Where has the world been? I mean, this is something that has come in the last 4 years of civil war. We've been speaking about it, but this is no new news in terms of the hellish atmosphere that's in Aleppo.
Right. The dimensions are, we chose the report to concentrate on Aleppo because it is the biggest Syrian city. And unfortunately, a year ago, the UN came with a resolution said that war crimes and crimes against humanity have to end, but the international community didn't involve, and the situation continues. And actually, the new report that Amnesty published today shed light on what happens on Aleppo these days about the barrel bombs that the government dropped on civilians these days. Only 3,000 people died last year from those attacks, and definitely Amnesty International calls the international community to involve.
Because this is not the first time that the international community has tried to be involved in the past, but it has mostly backed off very quickly. It starts, makes a few steps forward and then goes a few steps back. What can this report do on the ground and implement that beyond the words and beyond describing the horrors?
On the ground, it is very difficult. What the report shows is that many civilians actually moved underground in order to save their life, many schools and hospitals, and it shows that the government deliberately dropped those bombs on school, hospitals, mosques. There was, a year ago, there was a special UN envoy to Syria and to Aleppo that came up with an initiative for freeze. Nothing has so far showed any results, but we keep on showing what happened these days in Syria, and hoping that the international community will involve.
And Ali, geopolitically, Aleppo is still under Assad regime, but slowly rebels are taking over that area, and many are citing coordinated efforts from behind: Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and saying that these are efforts that the rebels are now working together rather than working apart, and this is why Aleppo is losing, or Assad is losing Aleppo.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that as part of the agreement between Saudi Arabia and the United States about the coalition against the Islamic State, the Saudis demanded to rearm and retrain the rebels, and they are emphasizing over Aleppo as the biggest city in the region that is not fully under the control of the regime. This is why in the Amnesty we saw that the atrocities are also shared between the regime and the rebels, and the use of gas by the rebels. It was something very interesting and important in the report. The situation is going towards a deadlock. Yael, no, if we thought like a couple of months ago that there was a beginning of a breakthrough in favor of the regime, the efforts concentrated by Saudi Arabia, the money, the fact that Turkey is doing everything needed in order to facilitate the transfer and the passing of fighters and weapons inside Syria, and the fact that Jordan once again is contributing and allowing training camps to take place at its soil, explain the fact that there was no breakthrough, and on the contrary, the rebels are gaining more and more ground in important cities in Syria.
Can this report impact at all the regional players? As we said, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Qatar. Can this change something within? Because obviously this report is going to raise a lot of eyebrows, to say the least, in the Western nations.
I will remind you, Yael, that 2 years ago there was a huge chemical attack with hundreds of people who were killed, and nothing happened.
That was supposed to be the red line, right?
Exactly. And every time in this conflict there are new red lines. And unfortunately for the Syrian people, I don't believe that Amnesty report will change anything in the data that is on the ground. We are expecting today a round of consultation in Geneva between some rebels group or some opposition group and the Syrian regime, and also there no horizon is to be expected.
Roni, what is expected? What does Amnesty at least expect from the world in the short term? What steps should be taken right away?
Well, there is this initiative I mentioned earlier by the UN Special Envoy, and Amnesty is campaigning and lobbying towards kind of forwarding this to end the situation as it is. We try as much as we can, and it is important to let people know what happened in Syria these days and what the Syrian people are dealing with.
And this is firsthand, of course, testimony from civilians that have survived the atrocities done there. Roni Margarita, thank you for joining us. Ali Wakat, thank you. Coming up next, we'll speak about a group of Israeli soldiers who are sharing some disturbing moments from last summer's war in Gaza, Operation Protective Edge. But first, let's hear some more of this morning's headlines. Welcome back to I-24 News Morning Edition. Now we get to say hello and good morning to Ami Kaufman, who joins us daily to discuss the news we have missed while scanning the headlines, or the ones deemed worthy enough to print. Ami.
Good morning, Yael. How you doing?
It's my first time with you today.
I know, I'm excited.
I'm super excited. What do you have for us?
Well, okay, we're going to Garland, Texas, back again there, where there was a shooting 2 days ago where 2 people were shot after they tried to enter a convention center where they were holding a contest to a cartoon of Muhammad contest, where the winner won $12,000, by the way.
Wow.
There are some new details emerging, and I think we have a report first that we should see, and then we'll talk some more.
Okay.
Men and women scattered, afraid for their lives after gunfire broke out Sunday evening at a controversial Dallas area event. Police, their guns drawn, swarmed the chaotic scene.
This is very scary. We heard boom, 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 and then all of a sudden we see the cops everywhere.
A group called the American Freedom Defense Initiative was holding a contest for cartoons featuring the Muslim prophet Muhammad. As the event in the Dallas suburb of Garland was scheduled to end, 2 men in a car arrived and started shooting.
They drove up got out and opened fire on the security officer.
After the security guard was hit, Garland police opened fire, killing both gunmen who have yet to be identified. The FBI is assisting the ongoing investigation and is working vigorously to determine if this is some form of Islamic radicalism or something else completely.
You said just a minute ago the bodies are outside the car?
Yes,
on the ground.
yes. And simply because we're not going to expose ourselves to a bomb that's inside a car.
Overnight, local police set off some precautionary detonations. They had been monitoring the event for several months and added security as a precaution. But they said they had no indication of this particular threat. After the shooting, a bomb squad worked on the car amid a heavy police presence. Drawings of the Prophet Muhammad are considered insulting to many followers of Islam and have sparked violence around the world. The injured security guard has been identified as Bruce Joyner. He was treated at a hospital for a gunshot wound to the leg and released.
So, I mean, a lot of stories are now coming out who was behind the actual conference and what their intentions were, and the press is kind of divided over if this contest was to be deemed worthy in the first place.
Exactly. Well, first, before we get to the organizer of the conference, the people have been identified, the perpetrators. One is Elton Simpson, and the other is Nadir Sufi, two Muslims from Phoenix, Arizona. The community in Arizona, the Muslim community, is really shocked about these two guys who apparently were supposedly very peaceful people who went to mosque often. There might be links to ISIS. Elton Simpson tweeted just hours before they attacked, "May Allah accept us as mujahideen." He pledged loyalty to Amirul Mu'minin, which is translate to the leader of the faithful, and might be a reference to the ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Now, as you mentioned, the people who organized this event, and the keynote speaker, by the way, was a very right-wing Dutch politician named Geert Wilders, who is known very well known for making a short documentary film where he showed Quranic verses on the backdrop of terrorist attacks around the world over the years, which made Muslims, of course, very angry. And the organizer, the event organizer, is well known as well, Pamela Geller, a New York blogger, who is actually barred of entrance into the UK. She is the founder of this organization, the American Freedom Defense Initiative, the AFDI, and she formed the group to stop the Islamization of America and creeping Sharia in her country. So it's really not surprising that she kind of organized this event of cartoon drawings, a contest for cartoon drawings of Muhammad to get people angry.
Anything, has she come out and said anything after?
She says that this is just an attack on freedom of speech in America, and it just proves that we have to fight these savages, though that's her word, the savages.
Wow. All right, this is definitely not going to be the end of that one. That's just, I think, a trigger for the next and the next, unfortunately.
Totally.
What else do you have?
We're still staying in the States, and the Republican list of candidates is getting longer and longer and longer by the minute.
But there's a woman.
There is a woman, another woman in the race besides Hillary on the Democratic side, of course, but Carly Fiorina has joined the race yesterday. She is the former CEO of Hewlett-Packard.
Corporate America.
Corporate America. She's going to run, but besides her, we also have Ben Carson, a Republican, who is a neurosurgeon, not a big fan of Obama. In fact, a few years ago, when he was just standing a few feet away from him, he called the Affordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, the worst thing that has happened in this nation since slavery.
Whoa.
That was in front of Obama. And a good old favorite of ours, Mike Huckabee, is supposed to join the race today. He's going to announce it in the States. He ran in 2008, won the Iowa caucus back then, a very popular evangelist, very popular supporter of Israel, very vocal about that. So 3 more people. And this is before the 2 big stars, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker and former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, have officially announced that they're going to.
It's the best reality TV out there.
Isn't it?
I
love
definitely think so.
I can't wait for the debate season.
And the fact that Carly Fiorina has joined kind of steals Hillary Clinton's thunder just a bit.
Just a bit, not
but
too
it does,
much. It's a long shot for her.
It is a long shot. It'll be super interesting. What else do you have?
Speaking about elections, this Thursday in Britain, of course. Now, one person, Russell Brand, who has been for years telling his supporters, I guess, people that are his fans, do not vote. He does not believe in the political system, has now made one of the biggest U-turns and come out and say, vote for Labour and vote for Ed Miliband. He's saying, this bloke will listen to us. He put out...
That's the best slogan out there.
Yeah. He put out one on his YouTube channel, and he said, what I heard Ed Miliband say is that if we speak, he will listen. So on that basis, I think we've got no choice but to take divisive action to end the danger of the Conservative Party.
Look how simple it is.
I know. know.
He's so easily convinced.
Yeah, it's a huge U-turn. He also took a nice little jab at David Cameron and said that he might think I'm a joke, but I don't think there's anything funny about what the Conservative Party have been doing to this country, and we have to stop them.
Think how many votes people in Israel could have made if people would just listen to their politicians.
Totally. Yeah. The Guardian says this guy has about 500,000 young people that really follow him, and this is a real big.
Could be a game changer.
Could be a game changer. But back to our region and to Israel, close to home yesterday, a guard at the light rail station in Jerusalem shot an alleged Palestinian attacker in Jerusalem. He was a 35-year-old Palestinian from Shuafat. The guard said that he attacked him from behind, and afterwards several other security guards opened fire at his legs and brought him down. This is, I guess, we can't call it really an escalation of violence in Jerusalem, but there's a certain heightened, continued violence that's going on over the past few months. Especially over the light rail, and especially in the French Hill neighborhood where this is. On April 26th, a man was killed and a woman critically injured when a Palestinian from Anata rammed his car into a bus stop. In October, a Palestinian slammed his car into a train platform, killing a baby girl and a woman from Ecuador. And a few weeks later, another one rammed into a crowded train platform in East Jerusalem, killing one person and injuring 13. And there have been some various stabbing attacks as well going on. So there's a certain level here that's heightened over the last few months.
And Jerusalem has sort of gotten used to it. No one's trying to call it the next Intifada. They keep the status quo as it is. Ami Kaufman, thank you for joining us. And you'll be back in just a few minutes.
I will.
More than 2,000 Palestinians died in last summer's war between Israel and Hamas, but according to new testimonies published by Breaking the Silence, an NGO made up of former Israeli soldiers turned whistleblowers, many of those deaths may have been due to lax rules of engagement that allowed troops wide discretion to open fire in built-up areas. The group collected more than 60 anonymous testimonials of IDF troops who were active in service during the war and paints a picture of a military that failed to distinguish between militant and civilian targets, claiming the IDF violated its own ethical code of conduct. We're now joined in studio this morning by the Director of Public Outreach from the Breaking the Silence, Avner Gvariau. Thank you for joining us and good morning.
Good morning.
Let's first take a look at some of the testimonies you collected of Israeli soldiers.
היינו יורים כדי לטהר את כל מה שבסביבה של הטנק, כי אולי בדרך כלל כשירו עלינו, אבל לפעמים לא רק, פשוט כי היה חשד שיש אנשים בסביבה, היינו יורים פשוט לטהר, כי מבחינת צה"ל, מי שימצא 200 מטר מטנק, הוא לא חף מפשע, אין שום סיבה שהוא יהיה שם. מבחינתנו, גם אם הוא היה נמצא 2 קילומטר, אז היינו פשוט מחליפים את הנשק שלנו לפגז ויורים בו פגז, כי לא אמור בכלל להיות אזרחים שאנחנו נזהה. אם אנחנו מזהים מישהו, הוא לא אזרח.
אני זוכר את זה, כל פתקים עמדו בשורה, אני אישית שאלתי את המפקד שלי, לאן אנחנו יורים? הוא אמר לי, תבחר לאן שבא לך. וגם אחר כך בשיחות עם שאר החבר'ה, זה כל אחד בעצם בחר את המטרה שלו. והוא קרא לזה בקשר, בוקר טוב אל בורג'. אנחנו נבצע חבר'ה, בוקר טוב אל בורג'. זה הציטוט. בעצם להעיר את השכונה, להראות לחבר'ה צה"ל פה, ולבצע את ההרתעה הזאת.
כשכניסה לבית זה אומר שנכנסים כוח אש מאוד גדול, כדי לדאוג שבאמת אין אף אחד חי בבית או נשאר חי, ואחרי מכן מוודאים שהכל נשאר נקי, סטרילי כביכול, מאנשים או מחומרי נפץ או ציוד לחימה.
מוודאים שאין שם אזרחים לפני?
מודיעים בגדול, לא מוודאים שאין אזרחים ספציפית בכל בית ובית, אלא יש פשוט התראות איפה אמורים להיות אנשים ואיפה לא. ויש הודעה כללית שמודיעים לכל השכונה, אזור האוכלוסייה, להתפנות מהבית.
Avner, just to maybe for viewers that are less familiar with the IDF, this goes against these testimonies and what we're hearing, these witnesses, this goes against the IDF's own code of conduct itself.
Well, I have to say that we're a little confused because we were taught, I was a paratrooper, served in Nablus and Jenin in the West Bank, served for 3 years. I was taught that our army has a code of conduct. I was educated to uphold purity of arms and values of human life were something that we were definitely taught to respect. But what we see, and this is really without any doubt, soldiers from different areas, different units, that not that the rules of engagement were problematic, that there were just no rules of engagement. Many
Which
areas,
in itself goes against the own IDF code of conduct. It's not only purity of arms. The IDF does allegedly abide by rules of engagement.
Right, and that's why we're confused, because there's basically the orders that officially are talked about, and that's for sure what we're talking about inside the Israeli society and talking about what we call the spirit of the IDF. But practically, when we listen to soldiers, and this isn't the first time around, I think this is definitely the most extreme example of it. But we saw similar things around Operation Cast Lead. Definitely crossing of every red line that we knew, and basically taking this idea of the spirit of the IDF and basically throwing it out the window.
And one of the things that will jump to probably many Israelis' minds when they see these testimonies, and this could be right or wrong, but many of them will say, well, why didn't you speak in the moment? You knew what you were doing was wrong in your eyes. Obviously, you're saying it to the camera. How come you didn't stop and say, this is wrong, I shouldn't be doing this? Why are you waiting about half a year after the war to speak?
Well, actually, just to be fair, some of the soldiers did come to us pretty quickly. There were also soldiers who came out to their commanders during the operation, but this is exactly the point. The problem wasn't a specific individual commander. It wasn't a specific action. It was throughout all the operation, throughout all the strip, basically the soldiers followed orders, right? They were doing their job as they were told, and that was really the problem.
Right. Well, I want to join in the Haaretz senior defense correspondent, Amir Oren. Amir, thank you for joining us. The IDF is, of course, conducting its own internal investigation. We're also due to hear from the UN committee that is also due to present its findings in June. Does the Breaking the Silence report surprise you as a senior defense correspondent, and will it surprise sources in the IDF, in the UN, and around the world?
Well, Yael, there's no surprise there, because this is the grim reality. This is what has been going on throughout the history of warfare between factions, tribes, nations. And while Avner and his friends are doing a very commendable job, the code of conduct that he is referring to is more of a myth. This is what the Israeli Defense Forces aspire to, rather than what reflects reality, because, as he said, he was a paratrooper, and paratroopers in Israeli history were the elite force, but even in 1956, they murdered prisoners of war, and the Israeli Defense Forces tried to cover it up. So the question is, does the IDF have not only a command and control system, but also a control mechanism to prevent such atrocities from happening? Now, the reality of war is that 60-year-old politicians send 40-year-old commanders to tell 20-year-old soldiers to do their job. And the question that you asked, Avner, is perhaps the most practical one. Why do they not report up the chain of command, their superiors, their officers, once they give the orders? And the rules of engagement, yes, they are in force, but sometimes the vague reality on the battlefield prevents people from knowing whether this is one sort of situation or another.
Amir, I just want to read the IDF spokesperson's response in reply to the testimonies released by the group. Let's take a look at it. And the Israel Force IDF is committed to properly investigating all credible claims raised via media, NGOs, and official complaints concerning IDF conduct during Operation Protective Edge in as serious a manner as possible. Today, as in the past, the organization Breaking the Silence has been asked to provide any evidence or testimony relating to IDF activities prior to publication. And you can see the rest of the response on your screens there. Avner, thank you for joining. What impact quickly do you think this will have?
Well, what we're hoping for is a public debate. Just have to say that it's a little sad that we actually turned to the Chief of Staff about a month ago and asked to meet him, and he basically denied our meeting.
Avner, thank you for joining us. We'll be back. Welcome back to I-24 News Morning Edition. We're now joined in studio by Wine and America's journalist Roni Stav. Roni, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
And I-24 News cinema correspondent Leticia Loreni, thank you for joining us. Roni, we will be starting with you. What are you starting with?
So Grace Lee Whitney, the actress most known as Yeoman Janice Rand from Star Trek, passed away last Friday at the age of 85 at her home in California. Yesterday, you know, it was May 4th, and they always have this like May the 4th be with you Star Trek thing. So it was kind of like all together. We had a moment of Star Trek yesterday. She began her career as a teenager in entertainment, singer and dancer, and she became interested in acting in 1966, and then she nailed the role of Yeoman Janice Rand in the TV series, the assistant of Captain James T. Kirk in the first season.
And she was like a regular.
Yeah, she was a regular. Then she was regular at the conventions. Exactly, she was this figure that was always there. She was part of many of the Star Trek films, including Star Trek: The Motion Pictures, The Search for Spock, The Voyage Home. I was like, shit, I said something wrong about Star Trek. That's not a good one.
Careful.
I know. I was like, no.
The fourth will be coming.
The fourth will be coming very soon and telling me I am mispronouncing.
These are the movies you cannot mess with.
I know. I was freaking out about this one because I'm not a Star Trek fan, and I'm like, ooh.
Don't say it. All right, let's go to easier terrain.
Easier. But one important thing about it, her family told NBC that she actually wanted to be remembered as a successful survivor of addiction. In the past 35 years, she has been helping others with addiction problems, including volunteering at women's corrections facilities. In 2011, she described her life as a happy and sober grandmother.
Wow.
Addictions to what? She fought about?
She fought, alcoholic addictions, but she has been helping in all sorts of addictions, mostly for women.
Okay.
Well,
rest in peace.
Rest in peace, indeed.
Grace Lee Whitney.
David Letterman.
It's
his last show.
We have 2 more weeks of David Letterman. Then the last show is going to be on May 20th. But yesterday we had Obama on the show, which is the star, and we had the special, the night special. It happened at 9:30, and Ray Romano was the one that hosted it. He nailed Everybody Loves Raymond after doing an appearance on The Late Show in 1995, and therefore he hosted the show yesterday, showing all different guests from throughout the years. I think we have a little clip of David Letterman's little montage that we can take a look at.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ray Romano, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for David Letterman. When Drew Barrymore stands on the desk, then do this to your kids. Tell them to go inside and get the Cheerios. You're gonna see everything. Yeah, it's a great thing to see if you're a fan, and it's a great thing to see if you're a new fan.
Look at TV. It used to be a one wild time. Now it became all, you know, very straight and conservative.
It was before the delay
that
they were able to put into shows later on.
I can understand why David Letterman's retiring. I mean, TV's no fun anymore. No more Drew Barrymore.
Looks like it.
I think he interviewed every single person you can ever imagine.
He did.
I think at this point,
he did.
What
and
can
looks
you
like
do,
he will keep on doing that for the next 2 weeks. Some of the celebrities list is George Clooney, Oprah Winfrey, Howard Stern, Will Ferrell, Tom Hanks, and I mean Obama was there yesterday. So.
Yeah.
Oh, they announced the 2 weeks guests list?
Some of them.
Okay.
Some of them. Not all the lists.
And yesterday was, of course, the primetime special that everyone was waiting for. Instead of waiting until, you know, that ungodly hour of 11:30 at night, it was up on your primetime at 9:30.
Yeah, and I think we have another clip of like best moments of David Letterman.
Hello? It's me, you jerk.
Do you find me amusing?
No, I do. I think you're funny.
What about me do you think is funny?
I think your face is funny.
It's the best when they put the 2 different comedians from different kind of walks of life together, and he gets along with everyone.
How long has he been hosting it for?
I think 13 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. going to a younger star, but one that's
going
raking
to a
in the
star,
millions.
but looks like Rihanna's very talked about campaign is finally out. The first ad is finally out. She has a collaboration with Puma. After she has been, she was diehard Adidas the whole time, and they showed her paparazzi and all sorts with different Adidas attire. Right now, she is modeling for Puma, and she's an ambassador, like a global ambassador for the brand, and it is a $1 million deal.
Wow. Well, that will make someone change from Adidas
that will
to
make
Puma.
you wear different attire throughout your day. I would think.
I'll be happy to wear.
We think that's a legit reason to do so.
Absolutely.
So this is the first ad. We're going to see a couple more coming throughout the way, but looks like that's the first spring, the first little spring, that came
Puma's
from that.
making its own comeback.
Yeah, and she has been, has been flirting with fashion for a really long time. She was saying, it's not down to my voice. She was telling it to the British Vogue in February. There's people with way more talent than I when it comes to singing, bigger voices, but people want to know who you are. Fashion is a clear indication of a way to express your attitude and your mood. So it looks like we're going to get some of Rihanna's mood.
Rihanna style. All right, fine. We'll see how much. We'll see what the price tag is,
we'll see
and then
what's
we'll
gonna
decide what we want to buy it or not. Social media and art.
Social media and art. So there's a new, so many artists are using different social medias as a platform. They're literally rebranding themselves throughout different social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever that is. And we have different platforms for different types of artists. Let's say for musicians, so you have all sorts. We were talking about Spotify and Tidal, Jay-Z's Tidal earlier in the week. And right now we have Tondo, which is a new social platform for the art. Basically, they're trying to facilitate this world where different artists and galleries are able to socialize and find out what's new in the artistic world.
Yeah, because it's always this very elitist, far away community art, and many people that want to buy art, affordable art is like a thing of that you really have to search and find.
And it's a really closed circle. It's really hard to try and pin into that circle and become an artist that can be able to be viewed in different exhibitions. So that way, different galleries can look for the next hot name, up and coming name, which is something that they're already trying to do through different social media. So right now we have that one. It's by Ayelet Elstein. She's a former Israeli that's living in London. She's practicing art through fundraising and exhibitions.
A former Israeli that lives in London.
Yeah.
That's okay. No, I'm surprised by
her?
No.
She was your neighbor?
Former is like you can be former Israeli.
Well, after you live for many years abroad, so
she now identifies as an Israeli living in London.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
So she is lowering now the barriers to enter the art world.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's great.
We'll see what's going to happen.
We'll see maybe I can buy myself a little Picasso.
Maybe the spectacle in the eyes of social media. That's.
Lonnie, thank you for joining us. Stay with us. We're going to hear some cinema news.
Well, I'm starting with the movie which will be actually the last appearance of Robin Williams, because it's not as a physical appearance that we're gonna see. It's more of his vocal appearance that we're gonna see in this movie. It's called Absolutely Anything, and it was directed by Terry Jones, who's part of the Monty Python group. He's co-starring alongside all the British comedy group, and we have a clip.
Let's take a look. Stuff in Chicago.
Get in the truck.
Yeah. Take a squirt. Do you guys have a bathroom or no?
Yeah, we got indoor plumbing.
Make things happen. Clothes, get dressed on me. All I have to do is wave my hand. Dennis, be able to speak.
Biscuits.
What?
Biscuits. Please, please, please. Nothing else matters.
Come to think of it, I wouldn't mind shagging your leg right now. I could solve every problem in the world.
Have you thought this thing through?
Dog mess, clean yourself up.
Sibel!
Just pretend to be a dumb animal again.
I love you, Neil.
Yeah, we had a little technical issue at the beginning of the trailer, but
Robin
you got
Williams
it.
plays the dog.
Williams plays the dog of Simon Pegg, who's given the ability to do whatever he wants. It's kind of a reminiscence of Bruce Almighty, in which Jim Carrey was getting power from God. In this release, this is a group of eccentric alien that will give some kind of power to this man who does actually that doesn't know really much what to do with it. And the first thing he's going to do is to give a voice to his dog, who's going to, and be Robin Williams, and who's going to make him do a bunch of different funny things, of course.
Nice. So, of course,
it's coming.
Even if it's not going to be the best film, I'm sure so many people will be running to the theater just because.
Well, apparently, what the best thing of this movie? I haven't seen it yet, but the best thing of this movie. You see, my French is coming out. Yeah. The best thing of this movie is, of course, Robin Williams' voice, which we always are happy to hear. It's coming out in August 14th in UK. No release in US yet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you have?
Well, we have a funny thing, actually. We've been talking a lot about a spin-off that would mix Men in Black with 21 Jump Street, which would be a total crazy kind of movie. It's been in talk, and Sony's actually for sure kind of developing it. Now we're talking about 21 Jump Street that would be adapted with 2 female characters portraying the 2 lead characters. This movie franchise is being a big hit. It's been making millions and millions. The last, the 22 Jump Street made, I think, like $330 million benefits. So Sony's keeping this move of putting women in comedies. We know Ghostbusters will have a panel of female characters in the next sequel.
Have they said any names of who they think they're gonna?
For the 21 Jump Street, we're thinking about Dakota Johnson. I mean, we're thinking. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm hearing about stuff.
Are you signing off on her contract?
We're doing a great job at it.
It's been leaked, through this whole story about emails with Sony So it's been leaked that Dakota Johnson from 50 Shades of Grey would probably be one of these 2 girls. We don't really know, and I don't want to advance any names that I'm not sure about, but Dakota Johnson is in the talks for sure.
Nice. Well, I'll be running to see that. The problem I only have is, why do they always have to do the first movies and see that they're successful with men, and then only say, okay,
why can't we create a comedy with women?
Exactly.
Why did that? But we did actually. I mean, we did again, with Bridesmaid. No, Bridesmaid was a.
But Bridesmaids is like it's 2 typecast women. Like, I want a woman comedy with like 2 really funny females that don't have to, laugh only about bridesmaids and like wedding stuff. Or heroes.
You should write Sony.
I'll hack them. That's what
Judd Apatow is created a bunch of new movies right now. We know he's been working after the success of Bridesmaids. He's been working on a lot of projects with women portraying
and there's a sort of a shift, I think. Yes, we're still seeing like Bridesmaids. It's always like a women affiliated idea that starts the comedy, but still I think that we see more and more women comedians that are initiating roles that are much more similar to men comedies,
most definitely. But there needs to be more. What else?
Well, the Met Ball. Oh. Of course, you were saying about that we stayed up all night.
I was addicted to my Instagram. I was looking.
It's been a great year, I have to say. We don't have all the images of all the celebrities. We chose the best ones.
Okay.
The talk yesterday, last night for us this morning, was all about this thing that Sarah Jessica Parker was wearing on her head, which is called
this thing.
This thing. I'm saying this thing because it's called a hair dress. And I think it's very funny. Because
it's such a Maleficent moment. I was looking at it and I was like, this is Maleficent.
We have to remind our viewers that it was the year of China. Anna Wintour has chosen the theme of the night to be China. That's also why I'm wearing my little Chinese,
Vietnamese
kimono.
It's obvious.
It's China summer. It's fashionable, very fashionable this year to wear some Chinese floral stuff.
So, yay or nay about Sarah Jessica Parker?
Total yay.
I mean, I guess you would do it.
Yeah, I would totally wear a hat dress. I love this. Headdress? A headdress? In French, we would say just a hat. I love it.
A hat for Americans.
I think we used to all say a hat, but now when
we will dress our head.
This is
my
happening.
Headdress.
How about Beyonce's dress?
Beyonce's nudity. A lot of nudity last night.
Or
actually.
lack of a dress. Sorry.
A lot of.
Someone's wearing 2 dresses and someone's wearing no dress.
What was Chinese about her dress, by the way?
Maybe she could have borrowed. Can I borrow your dress? Yeah, so that's not. I don't know. Maybe it's a new type of Asian trend, but anyway, Beyonce. A lot of nudity last night. Beyonce wasn't the only one. J-Lo also was wearing some kind of side butt. Nudity,
but that's all, like the two of them are always wearing those kind of things that are very flirtatious with nudity.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian
Rihanna was wearing this huge,
Kim
nice
Kardashian
train. You saw Rihanna's dress.
Rihanna's dress, the yellow one. She was actually the queen of the night. We were talking about Rihanna. She was so gracious,
Look at that train.
and she was far from nudity. I mean, she was wearing some kind of fur, and it's spring in New York City.
How many people does she
know,
need to carry that train?
I haven't watched the footage. I've just seen the photos. We'll follow up with that. I wonder how heavy it is. You know, it must have been so.
Did we hear anything about if it's a real fur coat or not? Because I would
that
think
will probably be coming out in the
I would think that's going to be the next thing coming out.
You know, it's like the Star Trek story. You know, you don't want to say too much about this thing.
Leticia, Ronnie, thank you for joining us. We're going to go straight to the headlines, and we'll be back with Microsoft's major announcements. Welcome back to I-24 News Morning Edition. We get to say now hello and good morning once again to Ami Kaufman, who is here today for the spiral viral that is the Web Review. Ami?
Good morning, Yael. How are you?
Good. I'm just going to say also good morning to Shai Ringel, I-24 News tech correspondent. Feel free to jump in, Shai.
Okay.
Ami, where are we starting from?
Well, we're starting with the big news of the last few days, of course, which is not only viral on the web, but viral just about everywhere else. The name of the new royal princess. We have a name. It is Charlotte Elizabeth Diana.
Wow.
Charlotte, they covered a lot of bases.
So many opposites in one name.
They covered a lot of bases with, exactly. First of all, Charlotte is the feminine form of Charles.
Right.
It has a long royal pedigree. It became popular in the 18th century. It's also the name of two former kings and, of course, the Prince of Wales.
Right.
The princess's grandfather. And on the Duchess's side, it's the middle name of her sister, Pippa Middleton. And on the Duke's side, it's the name of his cousin, Charlotte Spencer. So, and of course, Queen Elizabeth is covered, and the mother, Princess Diana. Yeah.
So now everyone who has a baby named Charlotte is just tapping themselves on their back and saying, I thought of it first.
I know a few of those people that are already doing that on Facebook. Sure I've seen it happening already.
I did as well.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I missed that train.
Yeah, by the way, Elizabeth is the 39th in the list of popularity of names in Britain. Diana is not even on the list.
Wow.
In the top 100 at least. And Charlotte is in 21st place.
Nice.
Yeah.
So she's kind of unique with the
kind
Diana.
Kind of unique, yeah. Sticking with the Brits, we have David Beckham, who turned...
A king in his own right.
Yes, he turned 40 on May 2nd, and to celebrate this event, he joined Instagram.
Oh, well, can't think of a better way to celebrate 40 than that.
To the delight of many women, and I think men as well.
What, he put up his underwear ads?
Well, first of all, on the first day alone, he broke, apparently there's a rule that you shouldn't put more than 1 or 2 posts a day on Instagram. Exactly. He put 7 posts on his first day on Instagram. But a lot of people were happy with that, apparently, because in only 48 hours, the man has over 4 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah, but you got me with the 7 posts in one day. That's really, amateur.
Isn't it?
Oh my God!
Even,
and probably with hashtags and stuff too.
Yeah, but have you seen the pictures?
No, I didn't.
Well, you might feel differently after you see them.
Well, I might be his 41 million.
Right. Okay, on to another picture that's going viral on the web. This, you know the usual bathroom sign for a female bathroom. It's like a woman that kind of looks like she's wearing a skirt.
Yeah.
But there was a conference, Girls in Tech conference held in the States, and one of the sponsors put up this new picture. As you can see, I think we see it. It was never a dress. It's actually a cape, and that was their way of empowering women and trying to bring them into the forefront of technology.
Cool.
And this little picture went really viral on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's very popular now.
Yeah, that's nice. Good idea.
Yeah.
Not bad creative.
Now, I'm the father of 2 young girls, and I believe you are also a mother. And this video is really going viral on the web. I love it. It's infectious.
Okay.
But it's a father with his kid picking dandelions. Let's watch it.
Let's watch.
Okay, Buzz, you ready?
No, this thing goes
With
on
the
for
teeth.
like.
I think it's because of the teeth. His two little front teeth.
Yeah, we only showed like 20 seconds of it, but it goes on for like 2 minutes, and the kid just keeps on laughing, and it has millions of views already.
And Shai over here is rolling his eyes. Leave us alone,
baby.
These
parents, we don't know what we're doing with them. There's this new study that was a lot of people are picking up on. Oh, we're still watching this? Okay.
It's like a little tickle in my ear. This little kid.
I don't mind watching it for the whole segment. We should probably move on.
Shai's he's gonna throw water at us. Let's stop.
There's a new study out, which here is published in The Atlantic, but it's published all over the place about how dirty people's beards are. And what they did is a news station in Albuquerque, New Mexico, called Action 7, swabbed a few people's beards and took them to a lab.
Yeah.
And the findings were pretty disgusting. Several of the beards that were tested contained a lot of normal bacteria, but some were comparable to toilets.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm just running through my head now all the bearded people I know,
right.
famous and non.
And another one is that these types of things are also found in fecal matter. Yeah. Because this is a problem because beards are really big now, especially in the States, but it's getting big here in Israel as well.
Yeah. The hipsters are going to
kill you. The hipsters, the people in Brooklyn. A lot of baseball players are wearing beards.
Leo DiCaprio.
Matthew McConaughey, I think, is wearing a beard now.
No. What about the whole, Netanyahu is forming his coalition. He has to maybe re-speak with some of the people in his coalition about their beards.
Yeah. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, one more quick.
One more quick one. The Kardashians, of course. I always talk about the Kardashians, even though I'm not really, into them. But there is...
Or so you say.
The next 2 episodes of the Kardashians are going to be talking about, of course, Bruce Jenner's transition. And Kris Jenner is going to be finally talking about this, his wife, who
this is
apparently did know or did not know. This is going to go really viral. It's on May 17th and May 18th, 2 episodes on this. Now, if you don't want to hear anything more about the Kardashians, yesterday I talked about a new app that you can put on your computer. It's called Card Block. and you won't see anything about the Kardashians anymore after that.
Nice. But Bruce Jenner, I believe, is going to be seeping through. We have one time
for one more.
We have one more.
Okay, this is a little more gossip about celebrities. Lindsey Vonn and Tiger Woods are splitting up after 3 years of being together.
Tiger Woods.
Lindsey Vonn is a famous American skier,
right?
And Tiger Woods is one of the best golfers in the world out there, and they've been together for 3 years, and now it's over.
Well, he had his own little ordeal back there 3 years ago.
He did, yeah, right.
That was been over and done with.
Right.
Ami, thank you for joining us. Stay with us. We're joined now in studio by the Tube correspondent Shai Ringel. As we said, Shai, what are you starting with?
Okay, we're going to talk about the Build Convention, the Microsoft Developers Convention that closed on Sunday. Google has their own convention, and Apple has their own convention, and Microsoft were usually the one that nobody cared about,
right.
because they had no.
So what did they do?
Because they had no developers. But ever since Microsoft announced Windows 10. The whole thing changed, and tickets were sold out in half an hour.
Wow.
For the entire convention, it's, half a week. And we saw a lot of innovation from Microsoft, and we talked a lot about Windows 10 and how it's going to play in the field and how it's going to change the game. And we also talked about Microsoft's small gadget that they hope will be their own iPhone. Mm-hmm. But let's start in Windows 10.
Yeah, what's so special about it?
Windows 10 is interesting because it's Microsoft Vision, and Microsoft Vision is to be platform, which means that every app you'll download will be universal. If you have Windows 10 on your mobile, on your tablet, on your PC, on your Xbox, the apps will work on all of them.
Which is in contrast to Apple, which you have
to have your iOS and the operating system for Mac, which is OS X, and it's contracts to Google, who has 2 different operating systems. Chrome for computers and Android for mobiles, and they are 2 very different in their vision. So Microsoft is doing an interesting thing here because they're saying, okay, if you download one app, you will be able to have it on all our platforms. In order to do so, they are in this convention they announced a tool to help developers make the transformation from Android and iOS directly to Windows 10. All you have to do is download their tool, and then if you have already an app on iOS, you can transform it to Windows 10, which is a huge deal because it means that when Windows 10 will be launched, it'll be
almost automatic. People will just have to...
And it won't be this, operating system where you don't have anything to download. You'll have everything you need and extra.
But the problem always with these things is that, yes, at the development stage and the R&D stage is pretty cool, and we're sitting here in studio, and I might just go and look at Windows 10 afterwards. But for the mass amount of people are very used to what they're used to. I mean, it's hard to break habits.
Yeah, but they're also used to Windows, which means Windows, we are thinking about Windows as the underdog nowadays, but they're still not the underdog. Hundreds of millions of computers worldwide has Windows, even if they have Windows XP. Windows wants to change that. Microsoft wants to change that by giving people Windows for free. This will be the first upgrade for Microsoft that will be free. That was their golden egg.
Right.
People buying Windows, buying Office.
Right.
Office will become a platform. They're changing Internet Explorer. They're killing Internet Explorer. They'll bring a new browser called Edge, which is a mistake. I think it's a mistake because it's still the E. I will still think of it as the E, but okay. And the big news from Microsoft is HoloLens. HoloLens is the device that they hope will be their iPhone, the one that everybody will want to copy, but not as good as Microsoft. We have a video and demonstration.
Welcome to Windows Holographic. This is Life with Holograms. And as you can see, Darren has customized his space. Instead of digging through menus, everything is right where he wants it.
Yeah, whether it's Microsoft Edge, Photos, or video apps, these are simply universal Windows apps that we've placed as holograms. So, whether it's a slate on the wall, or something a little bit more dimensional, like my loyal companion Fang here, hey buddy, you can customize your space the way you want it. Now, I want to add something to my space, so I'm going to pull up my holographic start menu, and I'm going to open up Skype. I'm the worst at keeping in touch, so I'm going to take the people that matter most to me, and I'm going to pin them to this wall right here. That way, every time I walk into this room, I'll see their smiling faces and be inspired to reach out to them.
So it's no doubt that it's super cool, but Microsoft is saying it's not only cool, this is also going to be used for education. It can actually be resourceful.
It's going to be, as Microsoft hopes, it's going to change the way we connect to our computers. When it's going to replace our television because it will be the biggest screen your eyes can see. And it's going to replace your computer because it's going to have everything. And Microsoft already has all the apps you need because it runs Windows 10. It runs the Windows 10 cross-platform apps, which means that once you'll put your HoloLens, you can have a holographic version of every app out there, including Media Center, and Skype and everything that you need.
How much will this kind of thing cost for the everyday household?
We still don't know.
Okay.
And we have to.
It's going to be ridiculously priced. Like
Microsoft needs it to go into homes, so it will be kind of like the iPhone, which means that it will be costly, but not too much. So you'll want to have it, you'll want to spend a lot of money, and as time goes by, it will get cheaper and cheaper. They still have problems with the device. A couple of tech journalists got to use it, and Microsoft are not letting them take the device out of their office.
Got it.
And the journalist said
that should be a warning sign.
But the journalist said that the device is pretty impressive. If you'll bounce a ball, it will detect the table, and the ball will bounce from the table to the floor, which means it's it gets everything in the room.
Right.
The problem is that demonstration is kind of a lie because the vision field is not as big as it seems. It's much smaller.
And other devices from Google and Facebook, Google Glass and so forth, they all failed. What makes Microsoft think that HoloLens will be working?
Google Glass failed because of a lot of reasons. They didn't have the apps. They didn't have the look and feel, and it was not a thing you really needed in your home. And that Microsoft hopes that the holograms, it won't be this thing that you'll want to take outside. Google Glass was kind of embarrassing to take outside. It even had the blog white people wearing Google Glass. Yeah.
So these are just for using inside the home. Like
yeah, it will be for inside home because it's heavy. Right. It's not that light. At this time, I hope that Microsoft will change that. But it will be something that you consume at home. So when you get into your house, you'll have all your apps at the right places that you wanted them to be. Like you put Skype on this wall, you'll put your television here, you'll put
Queen of the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very nice. Shai Ringo, thank you for joining us. We'll get updates from Microsoft. Microsoft may be the new king in town with this HoloLens.
Maybe.
Maybe. You'll get one, Ami?
I don't think so.
There you go.
I don't see why
you lost your #1 customer. Ami Kaufman, thank you for joining us. That's it for today. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter. Watch us all the time on our website, i24news.tv. Next up are the headlines. We'll see you tomorrow.